Are you a lover of the late 90s and early to mid-aughts romance, the rom-com as we know it? And I mean like the genuine rom-com, the Hitch, the You've Got Mail, the Sleepless in Seattle of it all. I'm not really talking about like The Notebook because, well, that's an amazing romance. That's not the vibe we're going for with this. We're looking for lighthearted, fluffy. There's an energy, there's an atmosphere, there's a lot of giggles and smiles, that kind of a rom-com feeling. Because I have 3 tips of how you can have that sort of rom-com flavor in your everyday life, and they're very easy. I myself don't have the energy to put in a lot into this, but these make a big difference in my day in and day out. I am Emily B. Riddle. I'm a romance writer. I'm an indie published author. And more importantly than anything else, I think, I am a rom-com lover. I grew up. This was my food. I was a child of the 80s and the 90s, and I was picking up any rom-com you were putting down. So the 13 going on 30, Return to Me. Do you know that one? I mean, there were so many that I loved and am now trying to model my life after the way all mature late millennials and early Gen Xers ought to be doing if they have any good common sense. Number one thing we can do to bring a rom-com flavor to our lives is not invite your dog to come hang out while you make your video. No, it's not that. It's this. Do you notice anything different about my face right now versus my face maybe 8 seconds ago? Lipstick. Let's see how this changes it. Ta-da! The lipstick does a thing, doesn't it? Like, you can tell a difference with a little bit of something on your face. Hear me out. You do not have to go big, bold red. Do I think you should? I do. I think this works on every face. I don't think there's a face this doesn't work on, however you want to say that. And I love it. Is it weird to get used to? Initially, yes, because you will walk all the places, anywhere you go, you will think, they're staring at my face. Maybe. But you know what? Probably most of the time, if they are staring at your face, they're thinking, that's a really nice red lipstick. I wish I was wearing a red lipstick. If we ever want to do a deep dive on some different options of red lipstick, drop it in the comments. I'm becoming a bit of a red lipstick, I wouldn't say expert, but like a connoisseur by testing them out and seeing what I like, paying attention to budget. But I digress. A big, bold lipstick. It doesn't have to be red. It can be a beautiful mauve. It can be a strong kind of, what's the one? It's not peach. It's not tangerine, but it's kind of in there. I love this color. It doesn't really look great on me. What is that color called? It's coral. It's coral. Any of those colors, but something that just brings your face to life, especially when you're not feeling it anywhere else. I will tell you now, if I am feeling a little low or not ready for the day and I put this on, it changes my mood. Highly recommend. A good lipstick will go a long way. Doesn't mean expensive, just means a good, strong lipstick. Number 2, playlist. We all have different musical tastes, and I understand that. However, I do believe there's something a little magic about a playlist of old music. So that could look like the late, the 70s, 60s. I love a 20s, 30s, 40s. I think either one of those just kind of throws some flavor in there. Like you've got a Louis Armstrong, or you've got some Sam Cooke going, or maybe some Ella Fitzgerald is playing. Frank Sinatra, you put all of those on one playlist, it's a good time. You can also, brighten it up with a little Stevie Wonder. But this music, you have it on in the background. It's very low key. You can play it around your kids. And it just has this lovely feeling of, it feels romantic. It feels charming. It feels whimsical. It makes you kind of want to do a little bit of this. I don't know what that was, but you know it in your heart when you're just like, A good playlist will do that for you. And I will drop one down here in that you can link to that I love and listen to all of the time. Basically, think vintage and try not to feel sad if vintage is maybe a time period when you were born, but that music that you were little to is now vintage. But vintage is the way you want to go. When you have your speaker going with some low-key, lovely, vintage aesthetic music. And it costs you $0, like no dollars to do that. And you're just going to feel a little better. I'm going to sit down for this one because I think it's a let's get close. Let's talk. This is a mindset that we're talking about. I fully believe as you move through your day, if you can find ways to say to yourself, if this were a rom-com right now, how would the director play this scene? How would they shoot this scene? How would the actors, what would Meg Ryan do right now if she were having to live through this moment? Or how would Eva Mendes respond if this were her and she was sorting through this? And I'm going to give you a story from my own personal experience recently. I was exhausted and I was going to spend my day. I had a day, no one was in my house. And it was, well, my teenager was here. My teenager can keep herself alive pretty well these days. So I didn't have to worry about anyone. And I was really ready to do some work. And I made my little stack and I wanted to sit in my bed. I don't sit in my bed very often. Typically the bed is the bed and the work is this space. But I thought I'm gonna get my things together. So I had a stack. I had my laptop. I had my notebooks that I take notes about my books in. I had my pens and markers. I have some like big sketchbooks where I write things out. I have some little notebooks. I had my calendar. And they were all tucked up next to me on the bed. Okay, I'm in my comfy clothes, still looking cute but comfy. And I had fresh coffee. I make my coffee in a I don't remember what they're called, but the mugs you travel with, they have a lid. I like the lid because it keeps it hot. I sat down, had my coffee on the nightstand. I go to get my coffee. Do I grab my coffee? No. Do I elbow my coffee very hard with my elbow? I do. And then coffee goes all over the wall. It is on the wall. It is on the sheets. It's on the mattress. And suddenly, my delicious, yummy, I'm going to work in bed and it's going to just feel so chill becomes, oh my gosh, get going. And I spend 20 minutes, frantically. I'm trying to get the sheets off the bed. I'm spraying down the wall. I'm cleaning off the mattress. I'm spraying down the mattress. And I was still aware while I was doing that of like, this is a classic rom-com kind of moment. You need some silly disaster to happen to throw our heroine right into a little bit of a spin. And that was me right then. So I think taking that and going, okay, well, I'm going to clean this coffee disaster up with something of a good spirit. And if nothing else, a sense of humor. So I had a great time pointing out to my teenager how ridiculous all of this was. And the fact that I had my perfect Pinterest scene set up and then ruined it by being able to not manage a single cup of coffee that literally had a lid. I just hadn't closed the flappy drinky part. And she was laughing and I was laughing and washing the sheets. And I took all of my stuff downstairs and I resettled on the sofa. To be fair, nothing magical and romantic comedy happened after I got all set up, but it didn't tank my mood for the day. Like I still felt really good and I did good work and I had a fresh cup of coffee and it all worked out. So I have to say, I think there's something really special about if you're going through your day and just here and there, not in an artificial way, but in a like, if Nora Ephron were here, if our beloved Saint Nora were here and she was giving me direction, how would she tell me to play this scene? Would she say, get mad and vengeful and storm through the room? She might, and you should go with that if that's the way it feels. Or would she say, let's be silly, make some comments out loud to the room, regardless of whether or not anyone's there? She might say that. But you direct your romantic comedy scene the way you see it best playing out. And I think you'll enjoy it more. Again, not meant to be toxic positivity, not meant to say take really serious things and turn them around. That's going to happen, and those are not the moments for this. What we are discussing are those everyday going through the life moments of I need to unload this dishwasher. And guess what? I have unloaded this dishwasher 251 times so far this week, and this is 252. Somehow I have to do that and have a good attitude about it. Let me assure you, I am not attempting to put a spin on your life that feels artificial or insincere. What I am saying is, if you are anything like me, and since you're still here, I bet you are a little bit, you have a pretty good sense of like, even if it's quiet and not wildly exciting, this is a good life, right? This is a good life right now that we're living. But there are so many ways I could just throw a little magic, a little fairy dust in here for my own well-being and maybe the well-being of those around me who might enjoy it or reap some of the benefit of me deciding that life could be a little more fun, a little more playful. These are my thoughts on how you can do that, right? So anything from something tangible like lipstick to something, is music intangible? That feels weird. It's a combination. To maybe just a little tweak here and there to your mindset. I think it goes a long way in making this lovely and sometimes not very interesting, exciting, wildly adventurous life a little more fun. So I hope you'll tell me in the comments below what you think you would try. Or if you have tips, even better. Let's share how we're finding ways to make ordinary, extraordinary life a little more fun, rom-com flavorful. Let's discuss this together. I also write romances that feel like this about women who are fairly ordinary, but also really lovely and extraordinary in their own way. This is the first one, First Comes Love. You can find the links below, and there's 3 books. First Comes Love, Then Comes Marriage, and Here Comes Baby. They're about 3 different women who each have their own delicious experience that is also maddening and very funny of falling in love and trying to figure that out. And I would love for you to follow me along here. Follow, like and subscribe. My preschooler tells me this phrase because he loves YouTube as well. Like and subscribe here. And then you'll find links below for Substack, Instagram, Pinterest, and TikTok. I'm doing all of the things, at least somewhat. And let's stay in touch. But please, whatever else you do, let me know below. What are tips you have for living your best rom-com movie character lifestyle? Or which of these ones do you think you might implement in your own life? And make sure you grab that Spotify link down there to get some good inspiration on making your own playlist.